Today marks day 4 in the trial of Richard Thorpe, accused of killing his ex-girlfriend in Bangor in 2024. News Center Maine's Brianna Bush has more from the courtroom.
Both prosecution and defense resting their cases on Friday in the trial of Richard Thorpe. Thorpe did not take the stand. Thorpe is charged in the death of his ex-girlfriend, Virginia Cookson, who investigators say died by strangulation at her home in Bangor in 2024. A Maine State Police forensic analyst testified Thorpe's DNA was found on an HDMI cord that was discovered wrapped around her neck. Testifying for the prosecution Friday, a former cellmate said that Thorpe told him he choked Cookson in self-defense. The former cellmate testified that Thorpe told him Cookson was hitting him with a cord before he allegedly choked her. Thorpe's mother also taking the stand after being called by prosecutors as part of their case. In a video showed to the courtroom, which Thorpe sent to her, it shows her son saying he was upset following his breakup with Cookson. For the defense, Cookson's neighbor took the stand, claiming that the evening before Cookson's death, she saw both Cookson and Thorpe getting in a car and that the interaction didn't necessarily seem threatening. Thorpe decided not to testify Friday. Closing arguments are expected to be delivered on June 1st. In Bangor, Brianna Bush, News Center, Maine.
Developers of a proposed concert venue in downtown Portland are now taking steps to sue the city. Portland Music Holdings says this is the result of a recent city council decision to implement a 750-foot buffer zone between new large venues. Developers say their project follows Portland city policy and should be allowed to move forward through the process fairly. A city spokesperson declined to comment on the matter. As he campaigns for the Democratic nomination to run for governor this year, Dr. Nirav Shah is sharing the moves he says he would make on day 1 if he wins the office. Shah says he would sign executive orders into effect that center around 6 core priorities, addressing health care, energy, tribal relations, and the state's relationship with the Trump administration.
The executive order will be what creates the firewall between the excesses of the Trump administration and the people of Maine. Simply put, under Donald Trump, Maine cannot assume that the federal government will respect state law, public health, privacy, or constitutional limits. It will also protect Maine's public health guidance from political interference, making sure that health decisions here in Maine are still rooted in science, not in ideology.
As the former head of the state CDC, Shah gave his thoughts as well on the Ebola outbreak in Central Africa right now. You can hear his comments on that right now on our website. One of Shah's 4 rivals for the Democratic nomination, former state Senate President Troy Jackson, is revealing his conservation plan now. Today in Augusta, Jackson says he supports reestablishing a cabinet-level Department of Conservation to protect public lands. He also says he supports the state's current goal to increase conserved lands by 30% by 2030. In addition, Jackson says he would also work to create a forest advisory board and wants to ban aerial herbicide spraying in forests. Democrat Shanna Bellows is sharing more details about her health care proposal now. The gubernatorial candidate sharing those details on a plan today in Bangor. Her 8-part New Deal for health care calls for working toward universal care in Maine, recruiting a stronger health care workforce, and protecting access to reproductive health care, among other proposals. Bellows says she also wants to invest in supporting rural health care and prevent hospitals and birthing centers from closing.
Because you see, it doesn't matter whether 20 people or 200 people visit an ER in a night. We still need to keep the lights on, pay the doctors and the nurses and the staff to keep it open.
Chief Clarissa Sabatis of the Holton Band of Maliseets announced the Tribal Council is endorsing Bellows for governor. Republican candidate for governor Jonathan Bush is holding a meet and greet. It's in Rockport tomorrow. His campaign says it's happening at the Samoset Resort from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. The event is also hosting a raffle. Each ticket there costs $50. Proceeds will go toward Bush's campaign. It has been 2 weeks now since the deadly fire and explosion at Robbins Lumber in Searsmont, but the impacts for so many are still fresh. especially the hundreds of first responders at that scene. News Center Maine's Drew Peters shows us how they are coping today.
While none of their crew was seriously injured, leaders here at the Liberty Volunteer Fire Department say there are still many emotional and physical scars that haven't begun to heal. According to Maine Health, there are still 5 victims receiving care at the Maine Medical Center in Portland. Leaders at the Liberty Volunteer Fire Department and Life Flight of Maine say none of their crew members were seriously injured, but many have been receiving counseling services for the emotional trauma they experienced.
We're a small community. We pretty much know most every department and a lot of the members on all the departments. So when something tragic like this happens, and we actually have a personal connection with most of the people that were involved in that call, it does hit home and it is very difficult to process through.
Firefighters here at the Liberty Volunteer Fire Department say they're collecting donations that will be evenly distributed to the families and victims who were impacted by the fire in Searsmont. In Liberty, Drew Peters, News Center, Maine.
And according to a statement from the Robbins family, mill owners Alden and Jim Robbins both continue receiving care at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston.